Let's give it up
Oh,
one more time for Abigail.
wow. Who's crying right now? Who's like, oh, my heart? Like,
I cried a
unbelievable.
little bit. I cried a little bit.
Unbelievable. Abigail, we are so delighted to have you here. And I know the kids are going to have questions. I already see a hand up. That's fantastic. But I just want to leave with some questions. I got to see you in person do this. And it was just such a, you think it was amazing on Zoom, folks. Imagine this in person, right? And my question for you is like, how did you get through this piece without crying the whole time? Like from the moment where you were talking to your grandma at the beginning, even when you were just singing in the opening, like I was already goosebumpy for like, the first opening. Like, how do you perform such an emotional and personal piece and be able to hold yourself together?
I actually don't know the answer to that question because it was a very emotional day, like in general, because it was our first nationals back in person. I had never been on the physical stage before, so it was all very surreal. And so I think just like taking a second after the intro and just being like, okay, girl, you gotta get through this. And I guess where it would be easy to get really emotional when thinking about my grandma when I perform, I kind of used her as like inspiration. I thought about her and I knew she was watching. So I kind of thought of that as my like my driving force to like just get through the program, and then that's why I kind of at the end I broke down a little bit because I was like, oh man, this is a lot of emotion, but yeah, I had a great time.
Yeah, and just to be clear here, because I want to make sure everybody understands this. This was not your first time on that stage, right? You've had lots of phenomenal final round opportunities throughout your career. You like won every single tournament this year, basically, and have gotten to final 3 times at nationals. Folks, for those of you that don't know, that's like a Michael Phelps of Olympics kind of situation. That's that's unbelievable. Like, did you go into nationals or that final round feeling like any sort of pressure because of like how awesome you've been doing, or were you like, no, it's fine, I'm just having fun? Like, what were you nervous, or like what did it feel like?
I think I was more nervous about the final round that it was. I mean, although I had been in, final rounds before and, at Nats before, that was unlike anything I've ever experienced. And I do theater and I have performed on the stage. So I'm comfortable on a stage, but even at sound check, we were like, oh my God, like I was with Esther and I was like, oh my God, this is massive. So I had a little bit of stage fright. I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. This is such a giant audience. But I was also like, I don't know how I can like live up to, I guess, like I hold myself at a certain standard and like I always want to perform to the best of my own abilities. And so I was like, I really just want to like leave it all out on the stage. And also everybody else in that round was it was a very competitive round. It was an amazing final round. And so I went into the prep room very like nervous and I was like, oh my God, like maybe I'm in over my head. I don't know what I'm doing. But then once they started like talking to us, and then all of the girls in the final round, we all warmed up together. And we all got to kind of just like, be there for each other and kind of calm each other down. So I definitely was super nervous. But once I got up there and I was just like, okay, I got to do this. I think like my nerves eased up a little bit, but I definitely was nervous going onto that stage.
That's really beautiful that you all warmed up together. Is that something that like has happened in other tournaments, or do you think it was just like this special moment that y'all were just,
Well, I don't really know what it was. So our coaches all left the prep room. And I remember Dave Yastrzemski was telling us, hey, everybody, just like get into your zone. If you want to listen to music, practice, run through before we walk down to the arena. And we're all it was very nervous energy. It was very tense in there. And Dara Adebanjo, she's like, a legend in the community for like, she's like bringing people together. And she was like, hey, do you guys want to warm up? And we were like, yes, please. Like, let's break the ice a little bit. So I think it was more of an icebreaker more than anything. That's how it started out. And then we all were kind of just hyping each other up. And even backstage when people came off stage, like we were all there waiting to hug them. And it was just great. So I think I've never experienced that like in a final round. Like it didn't feel like a competition. It felt more like a showcase. Like the six of us were just like performing for each other. So it was great.
That is so beautiful. Students, if you have questions, feel free to throw them in the chat or raise a hand. I'd love to get to some of your questions. I just want to ask one more and then I'll get to a student. You dedicated this piece to your abuela. Can you just tell us about like the pathway of like that, your decision to do that, and also that beautiful moment in your intro where you spoke to her? Was that something you always did, or is that like something you did just for nationals? Like, I'd love to hear more about that.
Yeah. So my grandma and I are very close. My grandma, Abuela Carbin, she lives with me. She lives across the hall. And so I've always been very close to my grandmother. And from a very young age, she told me about her story here, her and her brothers here through Pedro Pan from Cuba. And so it's always been a big part of my heritage. And then once I started speech and debate, I always knew that my senior year, I wanted to do something that was very like personal and specific to me. And my coach Joelle and I are very close. And so it was the decision to go a more personal route. My senior year was a big one. And I don't think everybody necessarily agreed with it at first. They were like, what are you doing? But I think just in homage to my specific culture and my family, was just something that I will cherish for the rest of my life, and that I know my family will. And that's why I think the outreach of speech and debate is just so powerful, because like that was a moment for me to share like my pride in my heritage and my pride in my family with so many people, which, you know, I think was perfect to end my speech and debate career with. And then the little message that I added in my intro, I only did that on the final round of nationals. We were practicing right after sound check. My coach, Esther, my two coaches, Esther and I, were all practicing. And wait, no, that's a lie. Hold. The first time that somebody said, oh, I think you should do this after your intro, Joelle called me, my coach called me on the phone and was like, hey, can you come over to my hotel room? It was right next door. And I come in and Duval is there and Joelle is there. And Joelle is like, oh, I think Duval had this great idea. And he explained to me that I think you should talk to your grandma. And I was a mess. I was an emotional wreck during NSDA and I started crying. I was sitting on the floor crying. I was like, oh my gosh, this is wild. And then so the first time I performed it, the first time I actually like put it into my speech was practicing right before NSDA. So if you like that little tidbit, he's right there.
That's wow, folks, as if we need another reason to love our camp director. Maybe one day you all will be at NSDA's crying because you made it to finals, and Duval will be there to give you some advice. I love that. I do see some students' hands up. Ishal, go ahead.
Okay, hi. Okay, yes, that was amazing. Can you, first off, please correct me if I'm wrong, but one of the bits from your interp, like the part about Pedro Van, was that from the show One Day at a Time?
Yes, it was.
Okay, so I recognized it because I myself have watched that show so many times over and over, and it's like really brilliant. And it got me thinking, what inspired you, or like what got you to arrange your pieces in the interp the way you did? Because that in and of itself was so thoughtful, and it was like a really great foundation for the magic you did up there. So yeah.
Well, thank you. That's amazing. I will say my coach throughout high school is brilliant. When I came into high school, he had just coached Janae Seidel, who in my opinion is like the best POI I've ever seen in my entire life, but I digress. So he's pretty much like a genius when it comes to POI. I don't know what that man puts in his coffee, but something about like creating POI scripts, it just comes so naturally to him. And so he'll give me like an idea and I'll be like, oh my God, that's so cool. And then we'll kind of like collaborate on it. And I remember I would go into the speech and debate room during lunch and we edited the organization of the cutting a lot of times. And we changed it a lot throughout the year too. So right before nationals, I had graduated in like early May. So I had like a gap, like almost like a month. So I was coming into school And for like a week or two, we were just kind of rearranging things, reblocking things, and seeing what worked. It was a lot of trial and error, but I definitely can't take a whole lot of credit for how well the script blended together, because I mean that was really Joelle. But I do think that a lot of just seeing what worked and what didn't was accredited to like just trying things out during practice, and just like diving into it. And I didn't start doing that probably till like my junior or senior year, but just like not being afraid in practice, like that's your place to see how things work. And so I think that's really what works best for me and what still does, even in theater and in other things, just like trying things out. And then if they don't work, you can change them. And then you end up with a great finished product. But that's a great question.
That was a great answer. Thank you for that. I see Coco's hand up. Coco, would you like to ask your question?
Yes. One that was literally just blew me away. That was
Oh,
amazing, like so
thanks.
much. Also, what category were you in? What category was that?
So that was, oh,
Oh no. Oh
sorry.
yeah, it was the
Go for it.
POI.
Yeah.
Prose. Oh, okay. Also, did you take like singing lessons or something? Because your voice is just amazing.
Oh,
It's
thank
like
you.
I
So
love your singing voice and
you're
your
so
debate
sweet.
and speech voice.
So I did theater. I started probably when I was 5 or 6 doing theater. I've always done musical theater throughout my life. So I've been in, shows and productions and things like that. And then when I got older, I started teaching like performing arts and theater. So I've always been in theater. It's always been a thing. And then one day I think I was just like singing on a bus on the way to a tournament and just being annoying like I normally am. And my coach was like, "Oh my gosh, you can sing." And then so I just started putting it in there. But yeah, that's like my little hobby that I love to do. So yeah.
Definitely added a lot to your piece. Beautiful. Elizabeth, I see your hand. Go ahead.
Oh my God, that was an amazing
Oh,
performance.
thank you.
But I want to ask how you got like started doing speech.
So it's kind of funny. I actually started speech and debate by force. So before I went to Heritage, I went to a different middle school, and they had this strange program. It was like very like oriented in like jump starting students into like the real world. And so one of the things that you had to take was speech and debate as a part of like a public speaking requirement. So I took it in 7th grade. Kind of started, I was just like, I'm just here because I have to do it. And then we kind of went through all of the things. We went through Congress, we went through PF, and we did all the things. And then the last part of the year was the speech category. And then I did my first speech. I did a DI, a drama. And then that was really when I started my speech career. And then when I moved over to Heritage, I was like, oh my gosh, I have to take speech and debate because I loved it so much at the end of the year. And then I met Mr. Levesque and then eventually Mr. Dennis. And yeah, it was great. But yeah, kind of, I didn't really like choose to do it, but it ended up being the best forceful decision I ever made.
And we are better for it because what a career you had.
Thank you.
Trinity, I see your question. Go ahead.
Hi, that was like incredible. I was like, my mouth was open, jaw on the floor, like it was crazy. No problem. But I just want to ask, like, how are you so confident on stage, like all the time? Like I see you up there and I'm like, that is your stage. Like you owned it. I just want to know like how. Do you have any tips?
Thank you. Well, again, a lot of my, I guess, comfort on the stage has to do with, having a background in theater, but also just, I think that sometimes when I watch performers in general, somebody asked me what grade I'm in. I just graduated, so I'm going into college. I'll be a freshman in college. But anyway, I think speakers in general who always like have more of a command of the stage and feel like they seem more comfortable on the stage, it's because they are very passionate about what they're talking about. So I think personally, as an observer in speech and debate, I can tell when somebody is, they're just, to perform, or they have a piece and they like their piece, or they're, really, focused on doing well in the competition. And then there's people like, for instance, Esther is one of these people who they go on the stage and it's their stage. That's their platform because they're so passionate and devoted to sharing their message, whether it be anything, whether it be oratory, Congress or interp, just being really passionate about what you have to say and just being confident in your message. And knowing that maybe not everyone will agree with you, but the power that lies in being on the stage and sharing your message is very impactful. For me, a lot of times my Hispanic heritage and being a Latina, it's hard to come by sometimes in speech and debate, especially in final rounds and things like that. So just being able to represent my people and being able to represent people in Latinx communities who don't have the power to speak for themselves is a lot of times why I feel so confident in what I'm speaking about, because I'm doing it for a greater purpose, not just for the competition or, to appease one person or the other, but definitely having passion and being confident in what you're speaking about is a big one for me.
Gotta remember your why, right? Beautiful. Serena, I see your hand up. Go for it.
Thank you. That was amazing. First of all, you're a huge inspiration.
Oh, thank you.
So seeing as you have a lot of experience with speech and debate, what was your favorite category that you did?
Oof, that's a tough one. I mean, I'm a little biased, so I have to say POI, but I loved doing drama as well. Just because I think doing drama, doing humor really helped me with POI to learn about character analysis and character development. So I think those were really great, and I got to focus on just one character or a few characters, whereas POI was a little more difficult in focusing on different perspectives and things like that. But POI for sure to me is the all-around interp event. You get a little bit of everything. It's and I think it's oratory in an interp form, because you get to persuade people on a topic that they probably don't know that much about. I mean, I'm sure not many people knew about, Abuela Carmen over there, but now a lot of people do. And so being able to persuade an audience and, share a message with your audience while also acting and performing and being humorous and being dramatic, you kind of get a little bit of everything in POI. So I think POI is definitely my favorite.
So we have time for just one more question. And
Can I ask a question?
oh, sorry, I don't see who is speaking right now. Who's that?
It's Kali. Let me turn on my camera.
Oh, yeah.
Hello.
Okay, Kali. Yeah, go ahead.
Coming as a theater kid myself, Miss Abigail, I'm sorry. Miss Abigail, have you ever been in any plays or school productions, and what was your favorite thing to act out?
Oh man. So I used to do school productions and stuff. I also do more community theater at a performing arts studio in my area. And now I teach there. I just did Bring It On, the musical. That was my final senior show. And if you've seen Bring It On, the movie, it's very similar. It's about cheerleading and stuff like that. So that one was super fun because I got to learn how to, do cheer stunts and stuff like that. But definitely have done theater. I've done Heathers. I've done Shrek. I've done, you name it, I've probably done it. So I've been doing it since I was 5. So definitely a lot of musical theater productions, but yeah.
Thank you so much.
No problem.
Just before you go, we have a lot of students on this call, Abigail, who are brand new to speech and debate, or who are middle school, who are just starting their journeys. What advice do you have for folks who are new to speech and debate and who are just getting started?
Yeah. Wow. I would say my biggest thing is I started POI kind of the untraditional route. As a freshman, I was with a lot of people who were very much older than me, who were juniors and seniors on the circuit. So I would say my biggest advice, and something that my coach taught me to do at a very young age, is to really absorb everything when you go to tournaments, especially now that, fingers crossed, we'll start to go back in person and hopefully I'll be able to judge at some tournaments. But to get to go back in person means that you get to watch people and you get to learn from people who are more experienced than you may be. And while that can be intimidating, what I learned to do was to use that as a learning experience and to say, okay, maybe I'm not as experienced as Dallas Hicks was when I was a freshman, but I got to ask questions to her and ask her about how she crafted her POI, just like people are doing now, and just really like being a sponge and just soaking all of the information up that I could at tournaments. I know that online it's kind of hard to stay focused and look at a screen for however many hours, but that would be my biggest piece of advice, is to just take it all in, learn as much as you can, become friends with people who are older than you so you can, you know, ask them for advice, or you can talk to them and you can watch them and see how they perform, see how they work on their speech and edit their speech throughout the year. So that way, when the big tournaments come up like TOC and Night Talk and NSDA come up, it's less intimidating to see so many older people, whereas it's more of kind of just a melting pot of different people's experiences and an opportunity to learn and grow, and less of an intimidation, like an intimidating experience, but and also just have fun, because speech and debate, it can get very easy to get sidetracked by trophies and winning and, you know, trying to succeed your own goals, but just have fun, make friends, learn from your coaches, because coaches on the circuit are truly some of the best people I've ever met in my entire life, and that I can't wait to stay in touch with for the rest of my life as mentors. But yeah, just take everything in and have so much fun. I loved speech and debate, so I'm super excited for you all.
That is terrific advice, Abigail. Thank you so much. Campers, can we please give a big round of applause for Abigail?
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Phoebe, for having me.
I don't know if
This
you've seen the
entire time.
chat, but it is filled with love for you. So I recommend you check it out before you head out. And if you'd like to stick around, Abigail, I'm sure our coaches would love to give you a special thank you in 5 minutes when we close camp. And if you need to go, that's okay too. But thank you so, so much. Okay, so campers, we're in our last couple minutes of camp for the day. And Ishal, I understand we have a special challenge today. Is that right?
Yes, we do. And this one is so much fun that I made multiple entries. So today's challenge, once again, to engage with the BDL and get entered into a giveaway and to compete for the prizes of stickers at the end of camp. Your challenge today is to make a meme. That's just about it. It's very simple and very fun to do. So you can make a speech and debate related meme using any template you want and send it to one of the contact information things on screen. They don't know I have a tournament tomorrow. Yes, so we have some promotional memes to show you as examples. Really have fun with it. Be as creative as you want. And yeah, send them in. We'd love to see them.
Awesome. Thank you. Coaches, if you want to take a quick screenshot of this, please do. I'm going to send you to your breakout rooms with your students, with your categories, just to help people make some memes. And coaches, you should share the ones you made today too, because they're incredible. And your campers would love to see them. And then when we come back in 5 minutes, we're going to look at the standings, announce our winner from yesterday's challenge, and close out. So go ahead and head to your rooms. We'll see you
I have
in
a question.
5 minutes.
For the extent, I mean, for what we did today, I never got to fill out a form for the blindfolded stuff.
Like the elective form, you mean?
Yeah, the elective. No one sent me a link.
I'm pretty sure we'll be doing that when we come back, right, Deval?
Yeah, yes, we will.
Yeah, so we just haven't gotten to that, Alejandro. Don't worry about it. You're good. Okay, so friends, go ahead and head over to your categories, talk to your coaches. We'll come back together in 4 minutes.
Wait, actually, I need the link now. I'm actually running late.
Okay.
I have another session to do.
Here it is in the chat, Alejandro. I'm also going to send it on Remind.
Thank you.
Okay, I think if you are still here, I have tried to send you over to our room, campers. If you click that link, you should be able to make your way over to your category. And everybody else, Abigail, that was phenomenal. I cannot even begin to tell you how phenomenal that was, but we'll talk some more after the campers leave. Thank you so much. Duval, I made this little wheel of names to do our little raffle. Does that sound good to you?
I love it.
Great. I'll announce the winner. Oh, I got to update these actually. Oops, sorry. TLT did that for me and then I didn't update it yet. Okay. TLT, would you mind just, I'm going to add the numbers from yesterday to today. If I name a category, can you just tell me how many it was
Yes.
that you tallied? Cool. Can we do extemp, please?
1,
Great. How about Congress?
3,
Great. High school PF?
4,
Oratory?
7.
Whoa, oratory.
I
Okay.
know.
Declamation?
1,
Okay. Middle school PF?
2,
Okay. And middle school interp?
1,
And anybody that we're missing?
LD,
Yep.
1.
Yep.
I think that's it. And I never
s-
did find Prina, so I don't know where she is.
Okay. It's okay. And no spar?
No spar.
All right. No problem. So I'm going to put these in the
Oh,
order.
Tommy wants to know where the kids are supposed to send the memes.
It's on the screenshot.
Yeah,
If he
I
goes
know.
to the slide, he'll see it.
I'm gonna go help him.
Cool. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to update these standings.
Wait, where's middle school PF? Oh, there he is.
We're gonna end a little bit later than 4 o'clock on the dot, but hopefully that'll be okay. Kids have to go, they will go. Okay. As soon as
Chico,
yes.
do we need to continue to live stream?
No, we do not.